What would you say, Adar, to those who might be looking at this industry and have all these myths surrounding it that sort of keep them away from investing in it? Because, as you know, it's been an industry which a lot of people have circled around, but we've never had this kind of a structured investment from someone from outside the business who's come in. You've had a lot of strategics coming in, of course, you know, the studios from the West. You've had the Netflixes and the Amazons and, you know, hopefully the Apple TVs, etc., who are also looking at it. But on the content side, I believe there's tremendous potential in taking the sector forward, being able to hold on to IP, being able to monetize that in the way it should be. But what's held it back really has been the lack of capital and the myths that surround the industry that have just lingered on for this long. So it'll be great to hear from you on what you'd say to people who might be looking at this business.
No, so I think a lot of other corporate houses or funds and investors perhaps haven't traditionally invested in this area is because generally an investor wants a clear line of sight on growth, scaling up, profitability, etc. We all know this industry has its ups and downs, you know, with films doing well, some doing badly, some may go over budget. Now, if we can manage that risk, keep growing in terms of scale of creating more and more content, you've got so many OTT platforms and now some others coming about. I'm very bullish in this area. Now, when exactly is it that we're going to hit, you know, big profit numbers or whatever? You know, it's tough to say. So you have to have a little bit of passion and patience in this area. It can't be like what you've seen in e-commerce or in other manufacturing sectors. There's always going to be some kind of gestation period. So we're going to go through that over the next 5 years. And, you know, if we have this conversation in 2 or 3 years' time, I can tell you if some of those myths were true or not.
Fair enough. It's up to us as an industry to dispel those. So Karan, as far as you're concerned, this obviously is a big move forward. Do you see yourself becoming a studio now completely and holding on to the IP that you're creating and therefore being able to monetize that and building value for the long term?
Absolutely, and the idea, of course, so the good thing is that, you know, we have, the IP has been a huge part of, you know, our valuation as well, built over, you know, a large period of time with all the films that we've done. We've held very strongly onto our IP for everything that we've done. The real issue sometimes were because of the funding that you had to always partner with an existing studio on the bigger and larger films. And with that, even when we made big hits, we were always sharing the profit. In this scenario, it gives us the opportunity of actually increasing and enhancing our profitability by owning the film entirely. But yet, there will be those massive brahmastras that we will make that will need the support of a studio. If I make a film that is over 250 crores, 200, 300 crores, it's not possible to fund that totally at our stage even now. But yet, it's the middle budget film where the cost to profit is super high. Those are the films that you can actually fund entirely on your own, and you can enjoy and reap the benefits of that big breakthrough profit that is to happen. Because I believe the real bread and butter, the real money comes from that middle budget film. Because in the big budget films, you know, while you might make that money up, and it's a large journey to cover that money, and then, you know, the cost of capital and then the cost of P&A, the margins are not very large. But when you strike it in a 65 to 80 crore window film, and you really hit the large number, that is the film I'm chasing. So more than the tentpole film, I'm chasing the middle budget film that gives me a larger return.
Because they're the revenue multipliers that much more when
everybody
when it's
thinks
a hit.
Bigger the film, bigger the money made. It's not always true. Yeah. Because bigger the money spent is also the bigger, larger journey to recovery, you know, so that's what we do. And then the verticals that we are in the near future going to make some announcements about verticals that we're going to begin, and we do hope that everyone eventually wakes up to the fact that we now truly mean business.
So would you do the same thing on the streaming side as well? When you're making series, etc., would you adopt the same model? Maybe the larger tentpole ones are ones that you don't necessarily need to fund yourself, but the middle ones you might look at actually going in and investing?
No, so I don't believe in that model. I believe a series should be greenlit by a platform. And then you should go ahead and make it. Because there are, you know, we've seen those content creating houses that have put in a lot of investments, created tremendous creative equity, you know, and by making series, but many of those lie unsold. And eventually, you need to kind of make sure that your series that you're putting all that might on, the money on, gets a platform in a house. So very clear that in Dharmatic Entertainment, we want to widen the scope of our work for sure, but we may want to make sure that it's attached to a platform before we start putting any money into it.
Got it. Also, would there be some projects that you look at from an international perspective which is taking India to the world? Because I think Korea in the last couple of decades has really shown us with their movies, with their music, with their TV, with their food, the soft power that they've managed to really take around the world. And like we say,
I've been doing K-dramas before they did.
That is true.
So I'm quite used
Literally.
to it. So literally. No, absolutely. And I think a few of our projects, definitely. For example, we had a breakthrough film called Kill that released last year that was picked up by Lionsgate internationally. A large international sale happened thanks to our presence at the Toronto International Film Festival where we struck that deal. Subsequently, the film is now being remade in English and also in Tamil and Telugu, and we sold those rights. So we do plan to produce the second part of Kill also, and we hope to have the same international success. Similarly, we are producing a film with Neeraj Ghewan, who is a Cannes award-winning filmmaker, and we've planned to take that film, to the international festivals and have sales internationally. Few of those decisions we are definitely going to make, but few, Sid, because I don't understand this concept of planning a crossover film. Because I do believe once you cross, it's all over. Because, it's really not always going to be viable and beneficial. So I don't think you can plan a film for an audience.
Yeah,
a film has to acquire.
It is something that happens organically
Today,
at
for
times.
example, I'm not sure, when Lagan was made, or Lapata Ladies, both attached to Amer, where he planned those films for India. He made great films. The fact that it's going to win an international audience and the love of an international audience has to be a thing that happens post the film's release. So I don't think you can plan or strategize an internationally loved film made out of India.
What do you think are there other ways in which the media and entertainment industry can maybe look at the way that other industries have scaled up to be able to drive us to our next level of growth? Do you see any things that we can do as an industry to be able to really have that exponential growth that maybe the IT sector saw in the 80s and 90s, or any other industries that have had that step up?
I think the government has been quite helpful wherever needed, and we can have conversations with them to see how we can promote and penetrate the rural parts of the country a little bit more. And if you can get more screens there and ways of getting into people's homes in villages and other areas, there's talk about having those cinemas, which are not exactly big screen cinemas like you see in the urban areas, but more penetration will definitely help scaling up and becoming more profitable. Also, the kind of films that one likes to watch may not, or what we call good films, may not necessarily do so well at the box office as we know. So, when you're looking at it from a business perspective, if anyone else is also investing, one needs to keep making those kind of films and also the kind of ones which are iconic. What, for example, Karan has made from Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gham Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, all those iconic ones, which are remembered, and then you have a library that's built up like we do, which one can monetize later in the future as well.
What do you think is the state of the theatrical business right now, Karan, and where do you think it's going to go? I mean, we do talk a lot about phases within this business, and you have your ups and your downs. We're probably in a cycle right now, which we've never really been in before, where the bigger films are doing bigger business than they've ever done before, and films that might not have done this business before COVID are going through the roof. And then there are some films that come and go, even with very big stars. So it's clear that the audience seems to be becoming very discerning about that trip to the theaters. What do you think we need to do as a content industry to be able to?
I believe we have to read the room. We've got to read the room as filmmakers. You have to know that today there's a lot of content available on streaming services, but there is still a huge desire for a community watch to go to the cinema. So you have to understand, please let's make the high concept films, the films that draw you to cinema halls immediately, not the films that you have access to, on a daily basis on a streamer. So besides the tentpole films, it's the high concept films or the films made sensibly, because the star cast really today is not just the only driving force, it's the trailer. It's the very first impression. So we have to, I always tell filmmakers, this may sound like a sales pitch, but plan your trailer. If a film is giving you a great theatrical trailer, it's going to give you a great theatrical opening. Anything generic is going to slip through. Anything been there, done that is not going to work. So you have to plan your first unit. It has to be a unit that makes sure that an audience is going to say, I booked my ticket, I'm going to go see. And that is happening. As we speak, we've had a great 2 years. According to me, there have been some thunderous numbers as well, like you said. We've touched the 600 crores. We'd never done that before. We've done that. And we also have touched 100 crores with a completely new cast. A creature film with a new actor called Abhay Verma has done 100 crores. That is the power of theatrical audiences. We just have to give them what they truly want. We have to read the room, which we have to start assessing within ourselves.
Well, I'm being told my time is up, but I do want to give you guys, both a chance to maybe tell us what your vision is for Dharma 5 years down the line. Like, what would you believe you'd be really happy if Dharma were to accomplish within 5 years?
I think I'll leave that to Karan because he's the man with the vision and the creative sense behind it. So, Karan.
I'm a filmmaker. When you ask a creative artist what my vision is, it's of course to creatively conquer, and that's all I can really aspire to do, to make beautiful, brilliant stories. Scale is not the only, thing in operation. I want to tell the biggest stories, but I also want to expand the infrastructure of our company. I want to build verticals which go beyond what we already have, which I had the vision for, but couldn't do it earlier, and now I can. And I want to make those verticals immensely profitable in the long haul. So the vision 5 years later is, if you and I chat 5 years later, I hope I can tell you that this partnership of Pharma Productions has been an immense success story, and we'll be here again to tell you that.
Thank you, Karan, and thanks, Adar. I just want to say on behalf of the entire Indian media and entertainment creative community that this was an incredibly inspirational announcement that happened, within the last month. And I think it's led to a lot of people thinking that the creative industry, the content creation business, if we're able to capitalize and we're able to bring the right funding, the right partners, the right growth into the business, then I think the next decade could genuinely be India's decade.
And I do believe what Adar has done, I hope, does become, something that others as well follow through, because it would be wonderful for that fresh burst of oxygen in our business coming in from outside of the business, because I do believe, and I hope that this is one of many other further collaborations. Even if Adar has to go forge forward and do it again, I'll be proud that he began with me.
Cheers to that. And, hopefully at CNBC's 30th anniversary, we'll be discussing a lot more examples like this. Thank you, everyone.